going at 50 miles an hour to that extent. I'd hate to think what he would have been like if he'd been doing 70 or 80 or 90 miles an hour.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be all right. Don't worry, James. We'll keep an eye on you.
The situation is, he's impacted on his door, it's then rolled the vehicle, and then the vehicle is actually bananaed around the hole, so it's actually trapped him by his legs underneath the dashboard. Before we can get him out of there, we need to actually remove the roof. This enables the paramedics to actually get into the car to give him his necessary fluids and whatever.
We need to establish what his injuries are, maintain his airway, and prevent any further blood loss.
Chris, get your attention ladder, please.
Well, I've certainly never used the amount of equipment on a single person accident before in my life. We used every piece of equipment off the emergency rescue tender. We used a large amount of equipment off our pump and off the second pump that was there as well. And everyone was gainfully employed the whole period of time.
With the roof off, the paramedics were at last able to get to James and assess his injuries.
We put a cardiac monitor on the patient. He's having an infusion drip put onto his arm, and we are also ventilating him at the moment.
My worst fear was that I'd either be paralysed or my legs would have to be amputated. I'd think of me at my girlfriend's, sitting in a wheelchair, going out with her friends in a wheelchair. Didn't really like it.
The firemen still had slowly to lower the car onto its four wheels before they could cut the dashboard away to free James's legs.
Take up straight.
I was worried that paramedics were going to turn around and say, we need this gentleman out quick. With the car the state it was in the position James was in, there was no way I was going to be able to rush this incident. It took me 3¼ hours of solid work to get that lad out of that car.
First of all, they thought that I'd fractured my skull, whereas in fact I'd just split my scalp open in about 4 different places. Both my legs were broken, and the windscreen seemed to make quite a mess of my nose.
James was really doing nothing wrong. He wasn't driving recklessly. He was within the speed limit. His positioning was poor on the road. That's inexperience. He got himself into trouble. He didn't know how to get himself out of it. That was inexperience. The poor lad just got it wrong on the night. You always remember the date. It's something you'll never forget.
My accident was on the 4th of March, 9:17.
Tuesday, December the 7th, 1976, 12:30 in the afternoon. I was involved in a head-on crash less than 6 months after passing my test and had to be cut out of the vehicle by the fire brigade. But having been there myself, inexperience has got to count for a lot.
James was in hospital for 2 weeks. Just 2 days later, it was Fliss's turn to take her test.
She'd been cancelling lessons to come and see me, and there was no way she was going to pass.
That's the end of the test, and I'm pleased to tell you that you've passed.
I didn't believe her to start with. I was pleased for her, but also a bit miffed that she had proved me wrong.
People say once you pass, then you start learning how to drive. It took me 14 hours to pass. From having 14 hours of driving or 14 years of driving, there's a world of difference between them.
Her being a new driver, it made me more weary than being with someone like my dad. If she was going around the corner slightly too fast, I would be braking for her before she would. And it began to annoy her.
James, what's the matter?
Nothing, okay?
I'm going to stop the car in a minute if you don't tell me what's wrong.
Do you just want to pay attention to the road?
It was just a nightmare. James was the worst passenger I've ever had. He hadn't just hurt himself when he crashed, he'd hurt his family, his friends, me, and I had to realise that he couldn't keep worrying about the fact that he crashed all the time. He had to move on.
I still don't feel that the standard I drive to is good enough. I've got to have advanced lessons and improve much more so that every person I know will feel 100% safe to get in a car with me.
James learned the hard way that just passing didn't automatically make him safe on the road. And as you've just heard, he's planning to attend an advanced driving course like this one. They're held all over the country. In some areas they're free, but in others you do have to pay. Amongst other things, they give you first-hand experience of what it's like being in a skid and how to get out of it. Details of these courses are on the 999 website, or you can call us and we'll send you the information together with a copy of a magazine produced especially for new drivers. It's full of useful articles, including advice on night driving and motorway driving. We'll give you the telephone number to call and the website address at the end of the programme.
For a lot of us, a car isn't just about getting from A to B. It's also about image. And it's never so tempting to show off your car's performance or your own driving skills than when the car is full of friends. In fact, the research shows that people drive better when they've got passengers in the car, with one exception. That's young male drivers with passengers their own age. In our next story, we'll hear from 23-year-old Darryl Marchant. He and his friend Simon Dunn were passengers in two different cars that ended up racing each other. What began as a bit of fun ended in tragedy. And we'll hear from other young people about their views on speed, responsibility and peer pressure.
There were 6 of us all in all grew up together. We just all basically wanted to have a laugh. We used to all go and play in the woods, sit up there and look at the view and drink sometimes. Simon was just a big gentle giant, really. Brilliant bloke. I could go to him with my problems and he could do the same, so.
For young people, it's all to do with image, basically. Like, if they look good, they've got to have a good-looking car to go with their image.
I would like people to turn heads and say, oh, that's a nice car.
For me, it's power. Not to use it, not to have it just to blast everywhere, just say, no, it's there.
Cars my friends had was an XR3i, which was new to him, and an Astra SI. So sporty, they were quick, and the image was very important to him.
I think young people's approach to their car is just, it's like a new toy.
You know, freedom and independence.
You do feel that you've gone from teenager to adult, and as soon as you have passed, that's it. You've got to take everyone everywhere.
That night we'd all gathered round my friend's house. I got into the XR3i because I'd never been in it before, and that car was full up. And then Simon turned up and got into the Astra.
I think if there's a lot of people in your car and the music's quite loud, I think you tend to drive a bit more erratically.
You want to show off at times.
You'd want to take it to its limits.
I think we ended up racing because that's what most people do my age. They get a car and they want to look good. They want to go fast, show off to their mates.
Speed doesn't scare me.
It's just the buzz, the adrenaline.
Driving fast frightens me quite a lot, but that's part of the buzz of it.
You just got that feeling of speed and that slight risk of being out of control.
And we were all egging on the driver of the car to go faster. We were all looking behind, laughing at each other, giving each other signs. That's when the sort of competition set in, really. Didn't ask the driver to slow down because I was enjoying it, enjoying going fast. Living on the edge, but I didn't realise how much on the edge I was living.
Passengers might not always like to speak out about driving too fast if all the mates are enjoying it and there's 4 or 5 people in the car and they're the only one that's wanting to slow down. They might not dare say anything.
No, I've never let anyone say, oh, slow down, like. But I've heard them say go faster.
I usually listen to them, but if I know it's safe to be doing what I'm doing and there's no risk of crashing, then I'll just keep doing it and just scare them a bit.
The roads which we were driving were very bendy, with not that many straight parts on the road. The Astra was in front of us, and then we overtook the Astra. At the end of it, it was like a hump bridge, which we went over. My head sort of brushed the top of the car. The other car, which Simon was in, went over the same bit of road. And Me and my friend looked behind and we saw the lights shoot off the road and we knew it crashed. We told the driver to stop.
When I had my crash with the tree, I was off work for a week with whiplash.
It changes you because I lost all my friends through it.
If you're not properly insured, you can lose your car, your premiums go up, you can not get insured on fast cars again.
I had to pay for the damage because I wasn't fully comprehensive.
So I thought it was just going to be a couple of cuts and bruises, a little dent in the car. It wasn't until I actually saw the state of the car that I knew it was serious. I went up to Simon, held his hand and stayed with him. I saw the impact that his body had taken from the crash and I honestly didn't think he was going to survive. And I stayed with him and I told him to let go. Because I thought it's the best thing to do. I said to him, it's a place where you're going to be going, and I told him that I loved him and that we all loved him.
Simon died later that night in hospital. The driver suffered leg injuries.
I feel responsible for Simon because I had the choice to tell the driver to slow down and I didn't. It's not a day that goes by that I don't think if I'd said this or if I'd done this, maybe he'd still be around. And I think we were all partly responsible for what happened, not just the driver.
Passengers do have a responsibility in making it clear that they don't like being driven too fast. And
They should say, look, stop, I want to get out, I didn't like it.
Well, people have got like a responsibility to say whether or not the person's going too fast, because their life's at risk as well.
Well, we all chipped in to get Simon a bench with a plaque on it. We had it put up in the favourite spot where we all used to go up together, by the woods. Since the accident, we've all us friends have sort of gone our own different ways. When I need to talk to someone, there's no one there who I can talk to. So I used to do all my talking to Simon. When I see him, it's always in that car now, in the state he was in, not how he used to be.
young drivers always think they're better drivers than they are. They'll always think that they'll never crash.
Oh, I think they should enforce a limit on the CC of a car, the engine size.
If I'd been taught to drive rather than taught to pass my driving test, I would have at least avoided the first accident and got more experience on the road before I started crashing cars.
Just started getting driving lessons from my dad. My attitude to driving is just to really get to A to B, not to go fast. As a passenger, I used to love speed. At that time I thought it was brilliant. I felt I could crash a car and get out of it and walk out. But now I know there's no way you can.
Both drivers were prosecuted and jailed for what happened that night. They were also disqualified from driving, and they'll have to resit their tests before they get their licenses back. On this private road system, you can learn how to drive in safety. There are no surprises, no pedestrians, and no other drivers. But expecting the unexpected is the biggest problem for young drivers, especially when they're going at speed. John Cooper was killed just 10 minutes from his home on a road that he knew all too well. In our reconstruction, John's family talk about his life and their decision to work with the police in local schools to help to raise awareness of the dangers facing young drivers.
The road actually John died on, it's a road that I absolutely detest. I don't know why. It's just an instinct. There's a certain peak in the road where it's called, our nickname was, it's the top of the world. And when we used to get to this point, John and Jenny, when they were children, used to say to the father, "Stop the car, Daddy, stop the car. We want to be at the top of the world." And we used to stop the car and it just looks over all of Manchester. And I just didn't like it.
I mean, to take his girlfriend home. Farmers working late in the fields. Closing the gate. Tractor and trailers parked on the road. Bang, John's gone into the back of it. Started the young driver scheme basically because I felt so useless seeing people's grief that their loved one has died. I thought there's got to be a better way, there's got to be something more positive that I, as a road traffic officer, and my colleagues can do.
Andrew Peck runs a unique scheme for Derbyshire schools. He invites the families and friends of young people who have died on the road to help him highlight the dangers facing young drivers.
I'm Jenny. I'm John's little sister. When Andy started, I asked him whether it would be okay and if perhaps go with him along to one of the sessions and then, you know, talk to the students myself. Because he wasn't just my brother, he was like my best friend. Those 2 years were nothing, they were just weeks or days apart. We were so close, we were like friends. We used to have a really good relationship.
That week, John Cooper had the use of his mother's car while his parents were on holiday. In our reconstruction, everyone is played by an actor.
We were just so really excited when they said that we were going away. So we were getting up at like 8:30 and then going into school, and I was sat in the front of the car me with a mug of tea, you know, and he's going, God, will you clear them mugs out of the car? He said, my friends have got to get in here and all these mugs. He was so much in love with Vicky, his girlfriend, and because she lived quite a bit away, it was really nice for him to be able to have the car.
I liked him because he was easy to get on with. The way he could, you know, just get on with everyone. Like, he'd never argue with anyone. You could talk to him easily. We like going to the pictures and going to pubs and just spending time with each other at each other's houses. I still think we'd be seeing each other now.
I'd come out of school, you know, thinking, yes, at least I have to get on the bus. And I'd come out and I'd wait in the car park and have a good look round, and the car wouldn't be there. And I'd think, oh, where's he gone? And then, like, one of his friends would come out, oh, John's left a message telling you to get the bus home because he's gone picking Vicky up. And I'd be like, oh, God, you're joking.
According to Jenny, she roughly estimated that week that John had travelled that road over at least 22 times. I don't doubt in my mind that John was driving too fast. He'd been on that road hundreds of times, so he thought he knew it. So he thought he could go that bit faster. I wanted to see John, but I was advised not to. And it's not that long ago I found out why. But John had to be identified by his dental records. Not a pleasant thought, is it? He was a very caring and loving son. He was affectionate with us as well. You know, even up to the age of 17, he wouldn't leave the house until I would be there at the front door and he'd kiss me goodbye in the morning.
Bye, Mum.
I'd have a problem with mine. It wouldn't be anything big. I would have thought it was at the time, probably. I think I'll go and see John, you know, go and talk to John about it.
You all right?
Can I talk to you?
Aye.
We'd probably talk about what we're doing at the weekend. We'd talk about a bit of gossip from school.
Modelling?
Yeah, and he's going to Italy. I want to go to Italy.
And then I'd walk out, and I wouldn't have discussed what I went, you know, in to talk to him about, but yet I felt like 2 stone lighter just because I'd spoken to him. And he was just that kind of person. He didn't, if you were in a bad mood, you just go, you sort of like a remedy, just go and speak to John.
I met John at junior school, and then we continued to secondary school, and so I've known him about 8 years, basically, now, till his death. It was good fun to be with, which was basically that why we clicked and why we were mates. We just enjoyed going out and doing the same things. I mean, I've been in talks just like this when I used to be at school, and it didn't sink in at all. You just sat, you don't realise what a good mate you did have until it's gone. I always feel the guilt about the accident. I felt he was a far better person than me. And even now, basically I feel empty, as opposed to 2 years ago when everything was peachy.
I don't think you'll ever come to terms with losing a child. Never. People come and say, how are you? And you say, I'm fine. Because they don't want to hear you say, well, I'm not fine. I'm hurting. I miss John.
If I could only give you, just for a second, a tiny bit how I feel some mornings when I wake up, I know for a fact that you would not consider putting your foot down on that accelerator and going too fast or putting you or anybody else at risk. I know that you wouldn't, because the feeling that I wake up with some mornings is so unbearable. Sometimes you want
I feel as though I'm doing something constructive now through John's death. And if only one teenager listens to our story and takes heed by it, I feel as though I've done something worthwhile.
I thought the presentation today really brought home to what speeding can do.
Just seeing her like shaking and actually having so much trouble to actually talk about him, it just made you realise how upset she was, and she still lives with the memories that she's got.
I think that really does have a much bigger effect than all the statistics, because they just go over your head. You don't really take any notice of them, really.
I think it'd be worse to be left behind. I don't know, I suppose it's selfish in a way to speed, because, you know, you might die, but that's all you've got to go through, really, like, whereas the family have got it forever.
I mean, it's like everything is so tainted now. I find it really difficult to get enthusiastic about things like my birthday and stuff like that, because I know that it's not going to be the way I want it, because he's not going to be there.
See you in your next life.
And at the funeral we had Suede, The Next Life, because it was something that gave me a lot of comfort at the time, was to think that perhaps it wasn't the end. The other song was Sad Song, Oasis, acoustic it was. And it definitely described the mood and, you know, everybody's feelings at the time, so I think we had made a good choice anyway. I think he would have been chuffed with it.
Don't throw it all away. Don't throw it all away. Don't throw it all away.
John Cooper and Simon Dunn are just two of more than 1,000 young people who die on our roads every year. The real killer, as we've seen, is inexperience.
Remember, passing your test is only the first step to becoming a good driver.
Good night. If you want to improve your driving skills, call us now on 0891 800 321 and we'll send you information about advanced driving courses and a free magazine for young drivers. Calls cost 50p a minute, postage is free. Information on safe driving is also available on our website. The address is www.bbc.co.uk.